Please read the 1974 Secretary of State Henry Kissinger NSSM 200, National Security Study Memorandum 200, exclusively focused on population control. And then in 1980, 6 years later, please read Jimmy Carter's Global 2000 presidential study, which is the first time that a government sought to directly involve itself in population control on a global level. A few years after Global 2000, we get the first documented cases of AIDS. This LGBT movement is not about gay pride. It's not about gay freedom. It's not about romantic choice. It is about Black population control. They even reported 2 years ago was the first drop in Black teenage pregnancy in America since the 1970s. But they claim they don't know why. We all know why. From abortion, okay, to the birth control strategies that they use, many of which are causing Black women to become sterile, and of course, to the mass propagandization of same-sex relationships in the public schools. And now homosexuality and lesbianism are nothing compared to the childhood transgenderism campaign that is sweeping Black America. It's so effective that the Democrats are now interested in having Dwayne Wade run for public office. Why do they want Dwayne Wade to run for office? Because of his son, who is now legally a girl. He'll be the first Black man to run for public office with an openly transgender child, which will go a long ways towards confusing other young Black boys and girls into also self-sterilizing themselves. And I say self-sterilization because that's exactly what childhood transgenderism is. That's what the campaign is all about, to manipulate Black children into eliminating their ability to reproduce. When you get gender reassignment surgery, they remove the of the male. They remove the ovaries of the female. And when you grow up and decide you no longer want to live this fake life as an artificial woman, an artificial man, you decide I want to go back to my God-given gender, you don't get your back. You don't get your ovaries back. You're not reproducing again. And the reason childhood transgenderism had to become more important than LGBT alone is because a homosexual can still reproduce. A lesbian can still reproduce. They can also decide to stop engaging in lesbian or homosexual behavior. It's a choice. But that transgender child who had sexual reassignment surgery, who went under the knife, they could decide they want to be a man and a woman again all they want. They will not be able to reproduce again. This is exactly why President Barack Obama was made president of America domestically, to make Black America safe for childhood transgenderism, to make it safe for the rainbow flag. If any other president tried to homosexualize Black children, they would have been fought by Black America. If any other president tried to lesbianize, bisexualize, or transgenderize Black America, we would have pushed back, because we are not a homosexual people. Yes, we've always had homosexuals in the Black community, but they were a minority. And there was rules of etiquette that governed their conduct. They did not discuss it with children. They did not openly display it, and they were a minority in the community. All that would change once Barack Obama would leave office. And a few months before he left office, he did the ungodly. And that's by basically threatening every state Department of Education with a loss of federal funding if they did not allow children to use the bathroom of the gender that they identify with. That was one of the last things Barack Obama did before he left office. And he waited to the last minute because I think he did anticipate some pushback. So he waited till it was time to clean out his office before he pushed that out there. But he did it. And of course, Donald Trump undid it, and then Joe Biden redid it. Now, let me say this, because you got Black people say, well, shouldn't we vote for Trump then? I'm not voting for neither one. The Democratic Party plantation, nor is the Republican Party plantation. Neither of them are a friend to Black America. Look at what Donald Trump did for mass incarceration. Nothing. Look at what he did for Black children being miseducated in the schools. Nothing. And let us also be reminded that Donald Trump signed more federal death warrants than any president since the time of slavery. He even signed about 3 of them his last week in office. In fact, I think his last day in office, he signed the death execution warrant of a black man. So Donald Trump is no friend to black America. And we have to get this idea out of our head that our enemy's enemy is our friend. We don't have any friends. That's why we shouldn't be members of the Republican or the Democratic Party. Now, for purposes of primaries, I can understand you keeping your Democratic or Republican Party, card. But for purposes of winning elections, which we really can't unless we are the majority in the location where we live in our particular jurisdiction, we should be organizing black votes and leveraging them in major elections, right? So black people are not the majority in any state in this country. So what we should be doing is say, let's get all the black votes in this state together. We can't win an office. We don't have enough people. But you know what we can do? We can leverage our votes, okay? And let's meet with whoever the Republican Party nominates. Let's meet with whoever the Democratic Party nominates and say, listen, we're a minority in this state, but guess what? We're still worth 5 million votes. We're still worth 2 million votes. We're still worth 20 million votes. What are you willing to give us in exchange for these 20 million votes? And we want you to know that if you fail us, if you disappoint us, these same 2, 10, 20 million votes that elected you will remove you from office. That is political power. That's how you leverage political power. Let me ask you a question. How many times have black people done that? Never. Even in the civil rights struggle, we never sought to build up a black political power base. Even then, we were married to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. And of course, historically, we were Republican because the Republican Party was the party that sought to limit slavery. Okay, but after Franklin Delano Roosevelt ascended to the White House in the 1930s with his New Deal programs, black people saw in that something for them, although we ultimately suffered then as well because there was racism in the application and administration of those New Deal programs. But nonetheless, since 1933, we have been voting overwhelmingly Democrat, which means for the past 89 years and in another 11 years, we would have voted Democrat, overwhelmingly Democrat for a century. Can somebody please explain to me, what has the Democratic Party done so great for black people that they have earned our loyalty for a century?
Nothing other than Biden saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
And get in office and totally ignore blacks. But here's what I want us to understand. And you know me, I'm going to hold white supremacy accountable. I'm going to hold it accountable. But at the same time, I got to hold black people accountable. Joe Biden was President Obama's vice president, was he not? So for 8 years, he watched black America give Barack Obama a pass. He watched black America defend Obama. He watched black America worship, literally turn that man into a second Jesus Christ, although he did nothing at all of substance for black people. Every time you saw Barack Obama talk, it was about homosexuals, it was about immigrants, it was about minorities, it was about women. Never black people. Every time you saw him, and to make sure white people didn't think he was talking about black people, he often used the word middle class, because most black people are not middle class. So when you say middle class, everybody knows you're talking about white and upper elite minorities like the Asians and the East Indians. You're not talking about black people. So Barack Obama even used coded language to make sure white people knew he was not interested in helping black people. And we sat there. He's the only president in American history, the only one in American history who was never asked to do anything, held accountable, or criticized by black people. And in my opinion, that also, not only does that make black America a group of hypocrites, it makes black leadership a group of hypocrites. Because if you are really about the benefit, about the best interests of black people, you can't take an 8-year break. You cannot take a decade off and say, we're not going to ask the government for nothing because we have a black president. Are you insane? White power is still white, whether the president is black or not. You see, I might be the CEO of a white corporation. It's still white. I might be the principal of a public school. It's still white dominated. LeBron James might be the face of the Los Angeles Lakers, but the Los Angeles Lakers is still a white corporation. We are so politically ignorant that we will think a black man in the White House actually means that black power is in charge. Nothing could be further from the truth. And if I have any say in it, we will never have another black president again, because black people are too politically immature and too religiously childlike to have a black person in a high office, because it makes us believe we're winning when we're actually losing.
I don't give a shit about no aliens. If they not coming down here to build no institutions and help us fight white supremacy and stop police brutality, I don't give a damn about reptilians. I don't give a damn about people living under the earth. I don't care about the second dimension, the third dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension. I don't care about a third galaxy, a fifth galaxy, a sixth galaxy. I don't give a damn about how many flying saucers you Negroes done seen in your backyard while you was high on weed. I don't give a damn.